Hello and good evening. I hope you're doing well wherever you are. Sorry for the late coming in late, but I'm glad I made it. I had technical issues, so I had to move from one room to another. I wanted to do this in a different room, and I just realized I didn't have things in place. But I'm glad that you're here. If you're here, just say hi. I'm live now and going to give it 2 minutes just for me to make sure that I can be heard on the other end. If you can hear me, you're welcome to, just say something. Say something so that I can know you're hearing me. Or maybe, should I say, type something in the message? I'll be able to see the message chat. And so that I can know that you're hearing me and we are good to go. Again, I welcome you to the live stream. Thank you so much for joining me. Today's topic is going to be, just like an introduction of whatever I'm talking about home care. So we're just going to have an introduction, so where we lay down the base of what we'll be talking about. And then from there, we can start building up with other topics as we go along and during more live sessions to come. So if you can hear me, you're welcome to just say hello and just let me know you're here. Like I said, I'm just giving it a minute, just a minute, another minute, and then we can start. So we don't have to keep the people who've been waiting, for too long, trying to figure out what's going on with the live chat. Okay, thank you for letting me know. Thank you. Thank you. I'm streaming in different channels, so not just Facebook. So I just wanted to make sure that I'm live. I'm live on Facebook and I'm live on YouTube. So that we can be able to just have one cohesive meeting. So, hi, I am Betty. For those who don't know me, I am Betty and I love healthcare so much, and I talk a lot about healthcare. So even when it comes to any kind of topic, I'll have to throw in healthcare there. So basically, I am a home care provider, and I felt it's very important for me to come and answer these questions here. I attended a fundraising 2 weeks ago, and I got so many questions from this fundraising, just people passing by the table that I was in. And I felt that it was just nice for me to come on here and clarify a few things about home care. So I help aspiring home care agency owners who want to start their own home care to be able to start from launch to finish. That is from the licensing part until the end of the licensing part. And then again, I also help them to launch their operations. Now, the business systems in the office, the types of things that they need to do to have themselves set. We get you ready for survey too, the state survey, because they do come in for the state survey. So, first of all, like I said, I help aspiring healthcare home care agency owners. I also help those who are currently doing home care, but they're having difficulties with their operations. So if you find yourself in those two categories, you're in the right place. And so just feel welcome, feel comfortable. If you have any questions, like I said, I'm going to answer questions. So if you have any questions, just drop them in the chat. Drop them either in the, depending on the channel where you are, just drop them in there, and I'll just toggle and look and see what's going on within the two platforms that I am in today. So, and if I don't see any question, I will just keep going. If you have any question, feel free to answer. If it's something that I can answer briefly, I will answer here. If it's not a brief answer, you're going to hear from me after this. Okay. So let's go. So, what is home care? So, I've had situations where so many people come to ask me, "Oh, so you do home care?" Yes. So, how many people do you have in your home? I'm like, I don't have anyone in my home, you know, because some people still don't know the definition or the differences between home care and group home and assisted living, those facilities. So it's very good to be clear, like what exactly you are calling home care. So I do in home care. That means in home care, you're going to people's homes to take care of them in their home. Okay, so it's not, I do not do, I know how to go about it, but the version of home care that I'm talking about is home care where we go into the person's home where they call home. Okay, so if they live in a nursing home and the nursing home accepts outside people to come and care for their residents, we do that. Or if they live in their own house, they do not want to go into the homes, we do take care of them too in their homes. So I am talking about in home care. And I am talking specifically about in home care, non medical. That means there's no nurses, there's no OT, there's no PT. Okay, there's no speech therapy coming in there. So there's nothing skilled in this setting. Okay, it's non-skilled. So when it comes to non-skilled care, you have to be very careful not to do the wrong thing, like incorporate things that are in the skilled into the non-medical. So if you don't know what to do, it's very good to ask, and we'll go over that in a few minutes. So when in home care, there are things that you can do, and one of the things you can do is offer like companion care, or you can offer light housekeeping. You can also do basing. You can also do homemaker services, others like meal prep. You can help with meal prep, and the other things that you can help, just to make the individual that you're seeing comfortable in their home, because not everybody wants to go into a facility to live there. Some people want to stay in their homes until God calls them home. So that is the kind of home care that I'm talking about. Okay. So, when I received those questions that time, I just felt that I needed to come on here and clarify that having a group home is different from having a different home care. A group home, you will go, you will get the people, you will get a house, for example, you rent or you buy, whatever your ability is at that point. You rent or you buy, and then you get people living in the home. Okay, and then now you have to go take care of them there and make sure that they're fine. And there are different categories of group home. If you go to I'm in Texas, so if you go to the website, you will see there are different categories of group homes. Okay, it just depends with what you're looking for. There's also I think they're called personal care homes too. Personal care homes where you can have the same setting, but you go into your county and get the requirements for your county, what needs to be done there. Then you have assisted living. There are different kinds of assisted living. There is the small assisted living where you have, and that is going to be a skilled. You're also going to have people skilled coming in there, where you have 1 to 16 people. That's considered a small assisted living. And then you have 17 and above, that's a large assisted living. Everything has its own category. So if you go to home care, it also has its own category. So there are some states that you do not need licensing to do home care. Okay, so you have to check in your state where you live. You need to check to see if they do licensing in that state. Okay, for example, a state like Arizona, you don't need home care licensing. Okay, the last time I checked, you do not. They have not changed it, and if they do, definitely would somehow know because of the communities that we are in. Okay, in Texas, for example, you have to have a license. There's no way out. So if you're doing home care without a license, you're doing it illegally. Okay, so if you get caught, you do not have anybody to blame for offering services that you're not supposed to be offering without a service, without a license, for example. Okay, so that is for Texas, and there are other states too, And then the other thing you need to also check just to be sure is when it comes to home care, like each state has their language. Does your state call it home care? Does your state call it group home? Does your state call it assisted living? You have to find out what does your state go to, because when it comes to licensing, you have to make sure that when you're going in there, you're paying for the right thing. Okay, you're paying for the right license. Okay, let me speak for Texas, for example. In Texas, it's called home care, right? You have to get a license through the state, the Texas Health and Human Services. You go in there, and then you can actually go to the search button and just put home care. The problem with that is when you put home care, you will have so many categories of care that are on there. So you have to really know what you want to open. Do you want to open just private care where you just charge people out of pocket? Do you want to do Medicaid, for example? Do you want to do MCOs? Those are managed care. So you have to really know what you really want to do. Okay, so the people I work with, we really break it down just for them to know exactly what they want to do. We break it down because you might come thinking that you want to open home care, and then you realize, no, I don't want to open home care, I want to open a home health. And so those are two different things. Okay, and home health is totally different from home care because with home health you have what you call it with home health you have nurses, you have PT, you have OT. you know with home health, with home care, you have caregivers, and you can have CNAs too. I have seen in some home cares, depending on the kind of setting you have, you can decide to add spice to your home care and add maybe a social worker in there, and or you add maybe a nurse in there to do the assessments for you, just to make the clients feel like that it's what do you call it, like just make them feel happy. But let me tell you, a place like Texas where you don't need a nurse to do an assessment. So that's a story for another day. Today I'm just doing an overview. Okay, so the differences between home care and home health care. So home health care, you can bill Medicare. So you can bill Medicare, and they will pay for the visits. They will pay for the number of visits they approve. So if they approve 10 visits, they'll pay for that. If they approve 15 visits, they'll pay for that, whatever they approve. And then on the home care part of it, that's Medicaid that supports that. So if you don't do private pay for your clients, you do Medicaid if you want to do Medicaid. But you have to know that with private care, you can be able to make your own decision, like how much you're going to charge. But with Medicaid, you get paid what the state decides you're going to get paid, and there could be delays. Okay, that's a story for another day. We're just going to go in little bits, so that I don't like give you too much information, and then you're not able to digest it. So home care is where you go, the one that I'm talking about. In home care, you go into the patient's home, or you go to the place where they call home. It could be the daughter's house, it could be the son's house, wherever they are, the place they call home, that is where you take care of them. Okay, so once you have that clear, whether you're opening a home care, whether you're opening a group home, or whether you're opening an assisted living, then you can move to the next step. And the next step for you is to ask yourself, what's the intention you have for this business? You know, uh, taking care of people is not an easy thing. Okay, taking care of people, it can be difficult, especially depending on the kind of setting they have grown up, or the kind of exposure they have. So you have to be really sure that before you even start doing the paperwork that you want to start an agency, be very, very sure that you want to take care of people. You want to take care of another human being. Okay. So, for example, you have to also decide what category you want to take care of. If you're someone that is good with kids and you like pediatrics, you can do home care, but take care of pediatrics. Okay. If you're good with the seniors, adults, you can decide you want to take care of the adult community, and that's okay. It's whatever you feel that you want to do. Personally, I'm specialized with taking care of adults. So I would not be talking about pediatrics because I don't know. I would assume they're a little bit different because you're taking care of kids. But I don't want to talk about that. I will not talk about what I don't know. I'll talk about stuff that I know. And then the stuff that I know is about taking care of adults, about that. So you really have to know the purpose of why you're starting that business. Okay. Why are you starting this business? Are you starting this business because you've seen someone else do it? And so you feel like, okay, because someone else is doing it, you're going to make it? Are you starting this business because you've heard that there's money, or like there's a lot of seniors, baby boomers out there that need care? You have to be really, really, you have to search yourself, you know and are you taking care of people because God has called you to serve? Personally, that is where I am. I'm in that category of serving people. Serving people. Let me tell you a little story, that you know I started how I started into healthcare. Before I came into healthcare, I was in telecommunications. I worked at Safaricom for quite a number of years, and then relocated. So when I came here, that's when I started getting introduced to healthcare, because it was a thing when I came to the US, and everyone was you know, talking about healthcare. And I said, okay, let's see what about this healthcare. And I started investigating about it and looking at different areas in healthcare. Okay. So around, that's about maybe 16, 17 years ago, my auntie said, you have to get into healthcare. And I said, no, I don't, because I'm coming from the operations part of it. I was coming from the business side of project management in networks, in telecommunications, because that's where I was when I was working in Safaricom. I was doing telecommunications. I no people. Our work was just acquisitions. We come, get your plot, pay you money, build the towers, and we're good to go. So now I'm changing now the whole perspective to now healthcare, and that was a big change for me, because I knew it was a people business. And so I started looking in, and so she told me, the easiest way to get in is just put your foot in, just see how it is, just put your foot in. So I said, okay, so how do I put my foot in? So she told me, maybe you can start from CNA. And let me tell you, I thank God that I did that. I thank God that I started from CNA, okay? Because during my journey, when I started from CNA, the training was good until I was dropped into the C. I call it the C. When I was dropped into that field, and I remember my very first clinicals, when I went for clinicals in a mental health facility, you know, That to me was shocking, first of all, being in a facility like that. But I started now warming up to the whole idea of taking care of someone who they would love to take care of themselves. It's not like, people don't just sit and decide they're not going to take care of themselves. They would like to take care of themselves. However, they're not able to, you know? So that was too much for me, but I really learned a lot from that facility. And then I moved now to orthopedic. And then there, that was just, just seeing people crying all the time. But that is the place where I learned that there's more need that needs to be done in healthcare. And when I started working at Methodist, I started doing my prerequisites in nursing and started talking to nurses here and there, talking to physical therapy. I started making friends with these people in these professions. And what I did, which I think helped me very much, was to shadow. If you know what shadow is, if you're in the US, you know what shadow is. I'm not sure what it's called out there, but I believe it's the same concept, where when you start a new job, you work with someone who's been in the industry, or who's been working for a while, and they show you what to do. So I worked with this physical therapy, and I was like, no, I can't even lift the pots. No, I cannot do that. That's not for me. I worked with an occupational therapist, and I loved it. I just loved being in that area. Then, because of working at Methodist, in the Methodist systems, maybe Charlton, sometimes I would float in Dallas, but I loved Charlton. Now, that is where I really, really, really enjoyed working in healthcare. I really enjoyed working in healthcare when I was there, and I really enjoyed going to work. Sometimes we go to work and we don't feel like going to work, but it used to be tiring because I used to be a night shift person. But then I really used to enjoy. Once I get in there, it somehow just God just pours just that peace in my head, and I just remember that these patients, they they could be doing this for themselves, but they cannot do for themselves. And then I started learning the hoops and everything here. But that's when I started noticing something, that most people just want to come, do the bare minimum, and go. They come, do the bare minimum, and go. And I thought that was concerning, because I mean, oh, how do you just come and do the bare minimum and go? And so I started looking at other things and listening to the teams talking. And one of the things they kept complaining about was paperwork, things in the office, why things don't run like this, why are things running like this. And I was like, oh, I like that. I like the paperwork, and I like the things running. So I said, let me look at the back end of healthcare and see what I would love to do on the back end that affects the people at the front. So I started looking through, and let me tell you, when I started looking at the back end to see how the operations of things worked, I found myself in healthcare administration. So God made a way within all those years. Slowly I started going to school and finishing, and up to my healthcare administration, master's in healthcare administration, which I really am proud of, because I did it in a very um, it was a crazy time of my life, with a little child, and everything just going on in my life was a lot, but I made it. But that's why, so the back end of things, that's motivated me to continue. And that's how I ended up doing things to do with operations, things to do with insurance, things to do with managed care coordination. And that really gave me a thrill, just seeing the engine working, just seeing how the machine is working from the back end. Because if the machine is not working, if all these operation things are not working, then when the nurses and the therapists and whoever go in the field, they're not able to perform, because things are just not working. There's no systems, there's no strategy, there's nothing that they're doing that is making sense to them. So that's how I came to this part of healthcare, and I felt like I really need to pour in. And then I said I needed a setting that would be more comfortable with my schedule, and I started exploring home care and home health. And I thank God for the opportunities to work in places like Encompass, and places like DFW Home Health, which were my favorite places to be in, and the community was great. And I learned a lot when I was there, both in the field and in the office. And I was sold out to home care. So now I help people figure out their stuff in home care, figure out their license. I help them figure out their operations. I help them set up their operations just to make sure everything is running. And I just do the same thing that I did, I just duplicate for them. Okay. So as you can see, my passion is right there in operations. If things are running smoothly, things are running straight, I'm happy. You just need to uh, be able to understand the little things. And what I tell people when they come to work with me, don't complicate things. Don't complicate things. Just do things right and let it flow. So that's why all this story is just telling you about your intentions. If you're here just to make money in home care, you will make money, but you will run out of your energy so fast. You will just be overwhelmed if you don't know what you're doing. Okay. Or the other way, it could go south when you don't have patience for 5 months, when you don't have things going on. What are you going to do? Are you going to quit because it's not giving you money? Now you jump into the next thing. The whole thing is just strategy, strategy. And that's where I come into my next topic. So so the next thing I want to encourage people. People say, oh, I don't have money. I don't know where I can start. First of all, if you're a lady and you don't have money, or maybe you mess up with your money, I recommend that you look for, if you go to my friends list, just find Catherine Gaduka and just join her. Catherine Franklin, she's right there. She's there as Catherine Franklin. Just go and join her money class, and get yourself situated. Then you will stop going to do some stuff when you join that class. There's some stuff you will stop going to do. You'll just be spending money for important things. Okay. So if you feel that you're having an issue with money, I recommend her. Her class is very nice. And I think she has something else coming up this weekend for kids. So if you find her, you have kids, get in there and join her. Then the other thing I want to say is, if you don't have money to start, there are people who say, I don't have money to start. There are various ways you can get money. Some people will advise you to get a loan. I do not advise a loan. I do not want to be in anyone's debt. And when things are slowing down in the business, I do not want to feel the pressure of having to pay that debt, because it can be stressful. I have seen where people take loans and they suffer because of those loans. If it's something you can do, just do it. Like, let me give you the example. For me, I decided I wasn't going to take a loan. What I decided to do, I was going to save. And that money I was saving, I was very diligent in that saving. And I said, even if I'm going to save $50 every 2 weeks, I will do that. So what I did, I went and looked in the state and saw what the state fees are. And then I started shopping around to see how much consultants charge. If I needed a consultant, would I be able to afford a consultant? Then also I needed to see, like, the basic systems. Are there systems that I can use for free? And are there systems that I can pay to use? There's some systems I would not recommend you use free ones, like the payment systems. I would not recommend that you use what do you call it, free ones. Yeah, use those systems that you definitely know that you have to pay, because they keep a record for you, and it's very important to have good records. because of taxes. Okay, then you have to, and another system is like payroll. You have to make sure you shop around and see how much it is. So basically, if you save enough, you save enough. Enough is where I mean that you have enough for your license, you have enough for consultant if you decide to use a consultant. And consultants are flexible, they can give you a payment plan too. you know uh, there's no consultant that I know that does not give a payment plan. They give you a payment plan. Okay, then you'll need to check like the basic needs of the office. How much is it that I need roughly for me to run the month. And then also you need to have and must have, I said must have, money for payroll. You must have money for payroll, because when you start hiring people to go see clients and you're waiting to be paid, you cannot keep them waiting for their check. So you have to have a cushion. And I suggest you have at least 90 days cushion, where if you know you're paying a caregiver a certain amount of money, then you have a cushion for those months. So you set your mindset that in a way that you are able to go in there and do the work. So how I did mine, I took an extra job. And this is not, if let me tell you, if you are on the lazy side of life, you might not want to do that, because you will be complaining every day. But if you have a goal and you don't have money, do something extra. Do something that will push you forward. Like, for example, I said that I when I was starting, and I was like, I want to start this and I don't have enough money, I took extra shifts. I took extra shifts. So I was working at the hospital and I was working in home health. And one of my checks was specifically just for home health, just to save money for that. So if you're going to be lazy just from the beginning, then it's not going to work. Okay. And I don't know how else to tell you, because if I don't tell you the truth, then and someone else comes and tells you it's going to work, I don't know what to do for you. So you have to be financially alert. If you decide you want to take a loan, have a plan of how you're going to pay, because those things don't come easily. Okay, the clients don't, you don't open shop and then you have a client. So you have to open shop, and then you start networking. You start going to these places, you start going to these facilities, just to get to know people. And then when you get to know people, that's when, hi Christine, that's when you get to know people, that's when you start now building slowly. Okay, now that knowing people, that comes after. This is just your groundwork that you're doing, because you have to do groundwork, because before you start spending all that money on a business, you have to do groundwork. If you decide you're going to borrow money from family members, maybe you have a family member who can afford it and can help you to start, you have to decide, are they helping you and then you give them back the money? Are they helping you and then you give them back the money with interest, or do they just want the money? Or are they helping you and you're going to give them some shares in your company? You have to make that very clear. And when it comes to, like, not just family members, even anyone, if it's somebody that you don't know, and you want to borrow from, just have something written. Because when it comes to money, people change. Okay, when it comes to money, people change. When people don't have money, they show you who they really are. When people have money, they show you who they really are. So if you have something documented somewhere, you have a way and a cushion to lean to. you know these days, things are a little bit different. When I was growing up, when you tell someone, this is what's going to happen, this is what I'll do, this is what I can do, and I will pay you back, you know people would take your word for it. But in now, I see a lot of people, especially people who, the younger generation, they don't appreciate the word. Um, uh, the older generation used to just give you handshakes, and they move on because they know that's a done deal. But now you have to write down everything that you do for people or they're doing for you. So if you're going to get money from a family member, I suggest that write it down, make an agreement with them, and then move on. So I've talked about why you should join the industry. Is where you really know you have to serve, and partner with somebody who knows how to serve, who wants to serve. you know I'm really passionate about home care. And the reason I am passionate about it is because I have seen situations where go, caregivers go to the homes of patients and start mistreating them. Okay. I have seen where caregivers go into the homes and they just sit down on their phone the whole time. They clock in and they clock out. To them, it's just about money. I have seen employers who don't care about the caregivers. They don't care about the clients, the clients either. They don't care about even the office team, what they're doing. And that reflects in every. If you don't care about your caregivers, then you will not even care about your clients. So that's why I'm very, very passionate about telling people, when you go to when you decide this is the industry that you want to get into, that passion in your heart has to be there all rounded. Okay, so you have to know that I'm here to serve, and I love to serve. So even when someone mistreats me, or someone treats me badly, or someone decides, oh, she can do everything, and just feel like they can walk over you, I still remember I love to serve, and that's what God called me to do. Sometimes people who are here, I might come to your home, maybe something is going on, and I may not even have much, but I'll start doing, just start taking care of things for you. But people may think, oh, she just likes to clean dishes or something. But I'm called to serve, so I serve wherever I go. Okay. So I'm very passionate about people coming into this industry of home care, and they don't take it seriously. Yeah, I'm very keen on that. The other thing I want to tell you is, don't compare yourself with other people. Okay, everyone is different. Okay, if you love to serve, but you're not able to go to actually do hands-on, but you can do other things, get people who meet your vision, who align with your avatar. Okay, get people who are like that, because you know um, you don't want to be somewhere and you're hurting people. Okay, get people who have the passion for you. So personally, I have passion for to help. I don't compare myself with anyone. I know the road I have traveled to be here. It has been difficult, and also it has been good. Okay. So when I go to serve people, it reminds me of humble beginnings, because sometimes the reason I'm saying don't compare yourself with someone, because you might compare yourself with someone who's been in the industry for 25, 30 years, and you're just one day in the industry. That doesn't make even sense. So take yourself one day at a time. Okay. But take a step forward. So I've had a situation where I had this lady. She's a CNA, and she came to me. She wanted to start her home care. But let me tell you, when you have someone who doesn't have confidence in what they're doing, first of all, if you're a CNA, I know you know what to do. So if you're coming to me and you want to start a business, I already know that the service part, you are good. The only thing you may need is just the operations part. But serving people, I have no problem with that, because CNAs go through a lot. you know. And I know out here, people treat CNAs like trash, especially some nurses. They do that, you know. Some nurses do that. They treat CNAs like they're nothing. Why? Because they have the RN license or they have the LVN license. But then those nurses and RNs and LVNs who have passed through CNA life, they understand what it means to be a CNA. And you find that even working with those nurses is totally different. Working with a nurse who has been a CNA or a caregiver is totally different from working with a nurse who has never changed diapers. You know, their work is just to boss around CNAs up and down, you know. So those are the kind of things that you need to realize that you're a CNA, you want to join entrepreneurship. Yeah. So you have to set your mind, you have to start changing your mind and setting your mind, letting yourself know that I have done the work, I know what needs to do the work, but I need to learn this other part of the business for me to be successful. So when I don't like it when I see people comparing themselves to each other, you know, and which is not good, because you know, sometimes in my meeting I will have two people, one is a nurse and one is a CNA, and you see all the time you know, trying to put yourself down. That's not good. Just have confidence in yourself and just know that God has got your back. The other thing I want to say is that with home care business, whether you're a nurse, whether you're a doctor, whether you're an accountant, whether you're a lawyer or a real estate person, you can start a home care business. Okay. You don't have to be clinical to start a home care business. I will dare to say that you don't have to be clinical to also do home health business, because you can hire a director of nursing, you can hire nurses to take care of everything, and you just do operations. Okay. There's so many successful entrepreneurs here who have never been nurses, but they run their businesses very well, you know, and they run their businesses knowing that they have hired the right clinical teams to take care of them. So don't be intimidated that I'm not a nurse, I can't have a home care. That's a lie from the devil. You can just come to me. And then the other thing, don't undermine yourself because maybe you don't know much about healthcare. If you want to be in the home care business, in any kind of healthcare business, just take your time and learn about it. Learn about it. You know, ask the people who know about the business. Talk to people who've been in healthcare. They can help you, whether it's a nurse, you know, whether it's a CNA, you know. And if you want to know more about the clinical part of healthcare, talk to a nurse. These nurses are very experienced, actually. You know, I was telling someone the other day, you know, when I go to see a doctor, I would rather see a nurse. Well, yeah, because they take time with you, you know. So that's another thing I wanted to say. Don't compare yourself to anyone else, you know. Then the other thing that's very important, it doesn't have to be me, it could be another person. Make sure you find a coach, a mentor, or a consultant that has been in the business and knows what they're talking about. There's some consultants who have been in the business and they've decided to transition and not actually do the business but just do consulting work. That's okay because they already, you know, they've done it, so they know what they're talking about. There are some who choose to stay in the business and also consult too, you know. So choose for yourself whoever you want to work with, and start working with them. Start building your ground with them. Start following them. Just start seeing what they're doing. On that note, if you're not following me, go ahead and click the follow button. If you're on YouTube and you're just watching, you just came in here, I welcome you to click subscribe, and let's go on from there. So choose the right mentor, right consultant, uh, people who know what they're talking about. Now, I'm almost done here. And so next week we are going to talk about something else. But today I just wanted to just build that ground, just to let you know that this is serious business. This is not a game. So If you're not sure what you really want, you'd rather not start, you'd rather not even put your money, even in the state license, it's non-refundable. So if you put your money there and it gets lost, in you know it doesn't get lost because they didn't receive it. There are other stipulations, like there are things they need. Okay. And they work with you to get the license, but there are things they might not work with you. Like, for example, if you have a criminal background, don't bother. I'm just telling you, I don't know how to sugarcoat that. So if you do have a criminal background check, just don't, because it's one of the requirements, especially in Texas. If you want, it's one of the things that you have to answer there. So if you have any of that, you might as well, try not to be there. So I talked about the differences for home care. If you want to start an assisted living, I do have contact, and he does assisted living webinars and all that. So if you want to start an assisted living, I do have very, very vast in the industry. He's off in Houston, and he has a lot of assisted livings there, so he can be able to help you, of course, at a fee. It's not free. But if you are interested in assisted living in particular, especially if you're a nurse, if you're a nurse and that is something that is you're passionate about, whether it's a small assisted living or a large one, just let me know. I will connect you. If you would like to connect with me about home care, you're free, yeah, free to drop in a chat there. And then also, but by the time you're dropping in a chat, go and check and decide what you want. When you go to see a consultant, normally they like you going there knowing what you want. And if it's something like, for example, if you come to me and you're trying to start something that I don't provide the service, I will direct you somewhere else, and I'll direct you to someone who has been in the industry for a long time. So, and someone who I can vouch for. And then the biggest thing out of all the things I have said, all the noise I have made here for 47 minutes, out of everything, I am saying this is the main thing that you need to do. Before you start planning and strategizing, pray to God. Pray. Pray that God searches your heart. Pray that God searches your heart, and for sure, you want to join the service industry. Pray to God to search your heart. Search deep down the reasons why you want to start this business. Because if you don't search your heart, you're going to be very frustrated in when you're caring, because of burnout. It could be that you are called to serve, but burnout can get you in this industry. Pray to God. Then once you have prayed, ask God, which category of business in healthcare do you want me to do? Do you want me to do home care, home health, assisted living? God will give you direction. God will put the desire of your heart on which way to go. And when you've prayed, even after you prayed, and then you start writing your strategies down, writing down the things that are coming in your mind, those are inspired by God. Do not start, and then when things go haywire, go to God for help. You know, involve God from the very word go. Involve Him in your word. Now, the word of God says in Proverbs 32, verse 8. Not Proverbs, Psalms. Okay, in Psalms 32, verse 8, and this is why I encourage you to tell God exactly what you want. Before you even start the business, let God be the anchor of your business. And you don't have to pray deliverance prayers, but just tell God, here I am. This is the desire of my heart. I really want to do this business. Show me a way. and even show me who to work with, because it's not every consultant that is for you. So in Psalms 32:8, I'm reading from the NIV. It says, I will instruct you and teach you in the way that you should go. I will counsel you with my loving eye on you. Okay? I will instruct you and teach you in the way that you should go. I will counsel you with my loving eye on you. In some versions, it will say, I will watch over you. When you pray before you start anything, even other decisions that you make there, God watches over you. God watches over you. Trust God in everything. Make up your mind that when God gives you the finances, when God gives you the business, when God gives you the right people to work with, that you'll be able to work with them. And when you work with them, you'll be able to get something out of them, and learn from them. When you get money, that money for your business, you tithe, you give, invite God in every decision. Write down your strategies. Write down from monthly strategies. I mean, to annual, from annual, you break them down to quarter, you make them down to monthly, and then daily. Okay. Don't give up on your dream. Look for people to support you. Where, just look for people you feel that you can work with to support you and to just guide you along the way. On that note, I am a home care consultant and a coach. If you would like to work with me, just feel free to just drop in a message, drop in a DM, or drop in a message, and I will, I'll get to you. I'll get back to you. If I don't get back to you right away, I'm sure one of my team will see it and will also let me know that you're trying to reach out. But I wish you a nice weekend. So next week we'll start talking about building. From now we're starting next week. We're starting to get serious. So if you really want to enjoy the journey for all these stories that I'm talking, it's nice to have a pen and a paper and just write. You don't have to write everything. It could be one thing that you pick up, and you ride with it. You could just be that you just want to just hang in there with me. But I would encourage you, if you want to start home care business, this is the right time to start a home care business. Hit me up, just send me a message, send me a DM. In the month of June, I'm having a very intense masterclass that will be going on. It will be a hands-on masterclass. So if you join, if you keep following me and join the group, the home care group too, you'll get to know a lot of things that will be going on in the masterclass. It will be very, very hands-on. And those people that are going to join that masterclass, you will be able to go out there and do it for yourself. But if you feel like you're not able to do it for yourself, then also I can help you. If you already have a home care and you're having your hair on fire, you are just confused about operations and you need your system streamlined, let me know. Just DM me and let me know that you're having a headache with processes, procedures. If you want me to help you with the client intake process, hiring process, all those things, or maybe give you ideas here and there, you're welcome to let me know. And I'll be, as long as you're talking about the area of healthcare that I am in, I'll be able to assist you. I wish you all the best, and in your adventure of trying to learn, if this is for you or if it's not for you. And you're welcome to call me, not call me, to DM me. I'm so used to saying call me. So in closing, just to recap what I said, have clarity in what you're doing. Know your money. If you have money to be able to start and kick off, if you have some money set, your mindset shift is very important. I also recommended a class, money class by Catherine Franklin. If you go to my friends, you will definitely see her there. just click on there and see when her next class will be and see what she has. So if you don't know how to manage your money, ladies, this is for you. She helps women with that. I have been to her class and it's wonderful. The things that she taught us, I am still trying to check. I've not been able to finish everything. I'm still trying to check what she taught us, but she really taught us a lot of things. She's very knowledgeable when it comes to money. She knows what she's talking about. So I if you want to go to her classes, I'm just putting in a plug here. She didn't tell me to do this. She probably doesn't even know I'm calling out her names in my live video. So, but if you are wondering how to manage your money, that is the person I recommend. And then if you're looking for mentorship and on coaching and consulting when it comes to home care, you're welcome to DM me, send me a message, and we'll get back to you. If we don't get back to you because it's a weekend, we'll get back to you on the next business day. That will be Monday. And then the other thing I wanted to say is, may God bless you and keep you, and may his face shine upon you and in all the decisions that you make wherever you are. And